The winds of the east howled as Baycu Noyan first rode into Anatolia. His arrival was like a shadow cast over the land, cold and unrelenting. A commander of the Mongol Empire, he carried the weight of countless massacres behind his dark eyes, and even before his banner appeared on the horizon, villages whispered his name in terror. Mothers gathered their children when they heard the distant hoofbeats. Warriors who had never known fear found their hands trembling on their swords. Because when Noyan came, it was already too late. He descended like a storm upon the Turkic villages, his cavalry sweeping across the plains like fire across dry grass. The first village that stood against him was wiped from the earth in a single night. Not even their names remained, only blackened stones and the smell of smoke that lingered for weeks. He burned their homes, enslaved their children, and left their fields soaked with blood. No one had seen such terror before. Not even the mighty Ertuğrul Ghazi could stop him then. For the first time, fear ruled Anatolia, and Noyan ruled fear. But his power did not only come from his sword. Noyan understood something few Mongols did: the power of shadows. While his armies crushed the villages, his gold crept into the hearts of men. He planted spies within the Kayı tribe itself. They came as merchants, wandering minstrels, harmless traders, and within weeks they were whispering poison into the ears of the unsuspecting. He bribed guards to look away, paid cowards to spread lies, and fed fear like a plague. Brothers began to turn on each other. Suspicion gnawed at loyalty. The Kayı were not just losing battles, they were losing each other. And this, more than swords or fire, was how Noyan sought to break them. But fear can only hold power for so long. The wolves began to remember who they were. Under Ertuğrul's command, the scattered tribes began to unite. They abandoned fear for fury. They struck at Noyan's scouts in the forests, burned his supply caravans in the night, and vanished like ghosts before his armies could react. The hunter had become the hunted. For the first time, Baycu Noyan bled, and the wolves howled. It drove him to fury. At Soğut he launched his greatest assault. His banners filled the horizon, and the sky turned black with arrows. Fire lit the night as flaming siege towers rolled against the fortress gates. Inside, Ertuğrul stood with only 100 men. They fought like demons, their swords singing in the firelight. For 3 days and nights, the world held its breath. The gates shook with every Mongol charge, the walls cracked, but still the wolves held their ground. On the dawn of the 4th day, silence fell. The Mongol banners were gone. Noyan had fled, and the wolves stood victorious in the smoking ruins. But Baycu Noyan was not finished. His pride could not accept defeat. He rode west, seeking new allies, and found himself kneeling in the marble halls of the Byzantine Empire. He offered secrets, maps, and betrayals. He offered to burn the Turks for them if they gave him soldiers. But the Byzantines did not trust wolves. They feared him more than they hated his enemies. To them, Noyan was not an ally. He was a weapon that could turn on its master. They smiled. They gave him wine. They listened to his plans. And when he raised his cup in triumph, they had already poured the poison. Baycu Noyan awoke in chains, fever burning through his veins. His Mongol allies erased his name from their records. The very empire he served cast him into darkness. His own soldiers abandoned him. He escaped, barely, and fled into the wilds. The man who once commanded thousands now rode alone, wrapped in rags, his armor broken, his banners lost. He crossed the same plains he had once ruled, but now the wind carried only curses. Every fire he passed reminded him of the villages he had burned. Every shadow seemed to whisper his name like a ghost. the terror of Anatolia had become a fugitive. For months he wandered, hunted by both the Mongols and the Byzantines. No camp would take him. No horseman rode beside him. The man who had once brought fear to empires now feared every sound behind him. He could no longer sleep. His sword rusted. His mind rotted. And one bleak morning, they found his body beneath a dead tree, alone, cold, forgotten. No army, no banners, no grave. And the land he once terrorized finally breathed again. Baycu Noyan had ruled through fear, but fear dies when the people stop running.